So very warm welcome everyone for this special celebration, the premiere of Return of the Avatars, which is the second book of our Future Humans trilogy. My name is Anneloes Smitsman, and there's my wonderful friend and co-author, Jean, who's sharing our book. And we're thrilled to be here with all of you. And we're really looking forward to this amazing hour with all of you. The visual program will be for an hour, but we'll leave the Zoom open for another 30 minutes so that we can share with each other and also hear all of your beautiful voices. Now, there's so many friends that we can see here, and thank you. And there's been this amazing community of Future Humans that has been growing around the world. And we decided that for this event, we're going to limit formal speeches or lengthy acknowledgements because we want to go into the experience with all of you of Return of the Avatars. Having said that, just a couple of small acknowledgements. So we first of all really want to thank our brilliant editor, Diane Nichols, and our wonderful team at Oxygen Publishing, and our illustrator, Patrice Hoffman. Some of you may have seen The Ring of Unity. Well, he's done a marvelous job with that. And Sam Brown, of course, for this beautiful painting that Jean just showed from the cover of the book, as well as everyone else who has contributed. And we've mentioned many of you by name. And there's someone very special who I want to bring with me now. Come here, my darling. Come. There you are. So here is Manu. So Manu is my son who plays Olaf in the Future Humans trilogy. So Manu and I have had so many fun conversations. And how was it for you to be a real life character, Manu?
It was great fun.
Very good. So all these brilliant ideas about the Cosmic Compass game, which really feature in this second book, are there thanks to Manu, who knows how it is to change the game that we play on planet Earth, right? Yeah. Very good. Okay, I know that you want to go and play. So thank you for joining us, Manu.
Goodbye.
So just to give a little bit of a structure for what we're going to do, we will begin with a little bit of an introduction of Return of the Avatars, and then followed by a role play from Jean and I. And then we look forward to hearing from all of you. So Jean, maybe you can share your welcome first now.
Well, welcome everybody, all you future humans. It's so good to have you all. Something about how this began. We started working in April of 2020, daily calls. Now, you should know that the only place that Anneloes and I have ever met is online, because she's in the island of Mauritius and I'm up in Ashland, Oregon. We have some hopes of meeting. When will it be? Perhaps in April? You'll be able to come.
I would like to come for your birthday.
All right, that's May 10th. Yeah, that'd be very nice. Anyway, some of you know how my big dog, my big golden doodle, Habibi, brought us together because she started digging at a rug in my room. What is wrong? What's on it? Is there a mouse? And I lifted up the rug, and there was a paper that somehow had found its way under the rug, a paper on, I believe it was on quantum physics. And I read it and I said, whoa, this is just what I've been thinking as well. Who's the author? Oh, it's that strange lady who's been writing to, oh my. And I got in touch with her, and the rest is not just history, it's right now. We began working on our first book. Now, at the launch of our second book, dear friends, the world has turned a corner. And we're all in the midst of an enormous crisis that reveals the worst as well as the very best of human nature. I believe it's time to turn the page of our own evolutionary development, like Rose and her nephew Olaf expressed clearly in the new book. If we don't change how we play the game of life on planet Earth, we play ourselves out of the game. Now, we like to believe that this book and the actual reading of the book could be the very act of the turning of the page of history, through which people enter into new potentials, capacities, even energy, certainly initiative, to enter the architecture of a world that works and the development of a self, indeed the future self, who is ready to enter into this time and space through you, the reader. The story, the practices, the very power of the continuous revelations of who we really are and what we yet may be, and how to get there. This book offers not just the lure of becoming, but also the architect tools for our future becoming. How do you do it? How can we get there? You, the reader, become the hero and heroine of creating a world that works and the self that can make this happen. Now, almost 2 years later since we began, the trilogy continues to grow, to deepen, to become much more than we ever thought it could be, as well as presenting the future humans, not just those that are reading the book, but the actual future humans community that has been developing at the same time. Oh, friends, we are so delighted that many of you are here with us today for this celebration. Please know you are each the living testimony that something significant is rising, awakening in this world, in this time, as future humans of a whole new order of civilization, together creating the possible human and the possible world. There are so many of you here watching this now. But before we continue with our program, we have a very, very special guest, dear friend, who has come to be with us and who would like to share a few words, the world-renowned systems scientist, Professor Ervin Laszlo. Dear Ervin, please share with us now.
Jean and Anneloes, I have great difficulty in adding something because there is nothing to be added to what you have accomplished and what you want to do. What you have just said, Jean, and I'm sure what you're writing in this trilogy is everything that I would like to say and I would like to communicate. I think the future human must be born now. And it is being born. It's a trial by fire that we're undergoing. It's a challenge that shows us that there's no way back, but that there is a way forward. And that is better than the alternative, which is the worst alternative, is complacency, is inaction. We can no longer rest the way we were because it's unsustainable. It's in crisis. So we must move. And how we move will very much depend on our insight, on our wisdom. And that means not only our rational mind, not only our theories, no matter how important in science, they also depend on our deeper self, on our spirituality. You two of you represent quantum physics and the deeper spirituality that there is on Earth. And this combination is really what we need. Science and spirituality together. They show us the way, because the way is very different. It's a very different world from what we thought this world was. So it's time. It's time to listen to our own heart, to our own deepest intuition. It's time to listen to those of us, to those among us who have explored the corridors of science and the deepest levels of the human psyche. This is the time to listen, to go back into ourselves, and then to change, and then to be the change, as Gandhi said, that we want to see in the world. I look forward to the return of the avatars. We need avatars already today. You are already avatars. I look forward to this book and to discussing with you and the people who have helped you how we can make these insights into the practical wisdom we need to make the next shift, not a side shift, not a downshift, but what I call an upshift. I think we are on the threshold of it. Let's move forward. And thank you of all my heart for the great work you are doing, because you are an architect of the upshift that's coming, together with me and with all our friends. All my best to your book and the presentation of these ideas. A tremendous book, a tremendous project, 3 books, a trilogy. Wonderful. We need it. Let's get going with it. Thank you again, and the best of luck with a tremendous enterprise.
Thank you so much, dear Ervin, and for your incredible work in this world and all your wisdom and all you've given all your life to make sure that the new paradigm becomes a reality for billions on Earth. So thank you so much. And that then brings me now to giving you a little bit of context, all of you, for the role play that we are going to be doing. So if for some of you, the Future Humans trilogy is completely new, and as Ervin said so beautifully, it really is about that intersection between science and spirituality, and then give it practical hands and feet and fuel it with our heart. And then, so for some context now, the journey of the trilogy begins with book 1, The Quest of Rose. And Rose is the main character of the trilogy, and she is a bright, multicultural woman in her mid-20s who lives in Amsterdam while her parents are in the United States. And during the first book, Rose almost dies of COVID. And during her near-death experience, she slips behind the veil and she discovers the immortal cosmic architecture of consciousness and what can change if we architect our world with the future potentials of a new era in consciousness. And Rose is guided and supported since she was a little girl by her incredible grandmother, the magus Verdandi, who lives in Iceland with her husband and all her animals, she has many, and initiates Rose into the wisdom of the 9 cosmic keys. Now, in our second book here, what brings us together today, The Return of the Avatars, the cosmic architect tools of our future becoming, the plot thickens. Verdandi receives 3 omens that warn her how Rose's powers are growing and how danger is luring around. And Verdandi is given the signs that foretell how Rose will come face to face with the giant of domination and violence that is rising up to stop the birth of the new world. Very much is what we are seeing now also today. And Rose now has to learn how to develop her future human powers through the wisdom of the higher heart, which means she also has to face her own ego and shadow, or else the archetype of domination that has really been here since the beginning of our human story will take over from within her. So with the help of 7 cosmic architect tools, Verdandi then initiates her into the ways of the higher heart and the cosmic mind. And since we published this book, the 3 omens have now manifested in a real life context that actually reveal the deeper archetypal patterns that are at play in the world right now through the invasion of Ukraine. Now, Verdandi knows that the work of the future humans is to become the higher heart, for uniting our powers and for shifting this pattern of domination and disunity for once and for all. The higher heart of humanity is really like the ancient grail through which our collective powers unite and we usher in the long promised new era. So our role play that we're going to be doing now is an adaptation from chapter 5 of Return of the Avatars, where Verdandi is teaching Rose about the powers of destruction. And during her initiation, Rose has received a very special and very ancient ring that has been with Verdandi and her family for a very, very long time. And this is called the Ring of Unity, and it's one of the 7 architect tools. The ring shows the head of a cosmic dragon and a cosmic serpent as 2 primordial avatar powers, which hold between them a cosmic emerald egg with the codes of the new world. The ring awakens our consciousness to the eternal bond of unity, and Rose is wearing this ring on her chest when she's having this conversation with Verdandi that will be role-playing right now. Jean will play Grandmother Verdandi, and I will play Rose. Okay, Grandma, you asked me about my dream. Well, it started with the white snowy owl that I told you about before, and it led me to a large gathering around a council fire. And the people there were discussing how to prepare for the difficult times that were coming.
Can you describe them?
Yeah, I'll try. Okay. They looked like ancient hunter-gatherers from many different nations or tribes, and they were clearly worried about their future. There was a woman at the center of the fire, and she looked like a shaman or maybe even a seer. She was instructing these people from the spirit world so they could survive the violence that was heading their way. And she reminded them of a very ancient bond for their protection, which reminds me of the ring that you gave me.
Oh, my dear, dear girl. It sounds like you dreamed of the original instructions long ago. These were given to our ancestors all over the world. The instructions were part of a covenant, sacred agreements that they made with the gods or creator beings who they saw as their guardians. Many, many have since forgotten the instructions and agreements. And yet, this covenant guided our people and many other indigenous cultures for thousands of years. Some of the architect tools are from these times, those times as well, which may be why you are dreaming of this now.
Now that makes sense. And can we call on that bond again? Can we use these original instructions to prepare for what's coming now? I'm really worried about all the planetary changes we'll no doubt be facing soon and getting worse every day. And, so many leading climate scientists, they warned that we're headed for climate catastrophes. And some even said that the Gulf Stream may soon collapse. Oh, help, if that happens, billions and billions of people will be impacted through changing rain patterns, more drought, rapid sea level rise. Who knows, maybe even an ice age for Europe, although the debate is still out about the effects on that. But Grandma, we really do need a new covenant that can guide us with instructions that people will actually listen to and use.
And you may be right, Rose, but this is a different zeitgeist, spirit of the time. In this age, it's all about, but it's all about who owns and makes the technologies that are used to create and distribute the new covenants. The digital world has become a universe of its own with its own gods and avatars, and many of them are not benevolent or wise. The gods of money and power dictate who can play in this new universe that is consuming Gaia like a ferocious, ravenous giant.
But how can covenants be owned by people? They're sacred agreements. They're in service of life. Nobody should own or control them.
Oh, you are right, my darling. But just like long ago when kings believed they owned the use of people's lives and land because they were avatars for God, modern tech companies now try to control and create the rules of the game in which the agreements for our modern lives are written. The puppet masters are never far away, and they are devious shapeshifters.
Well, that's true. And now that our lives have become so complex, most people have no idea what they even agree to. I mean, we download an app and we click the agreement box without ever reading the small letters of the contracts we sign. And there's so much trickery and deception in our world today. And what if climate change is not even our biggest danger? I mean, this eternal bond of unity that's given to us, but who acts on it these days?
Well, that's why I had to share the cosmic architect tools with you now. Dear love, call upon these sacred tools in your meditations, in your dreams, in your reflections. Ask them to reveal to you what you are to understand and act upon.
Okay, that sounds good. I will do that. I'm going to do that. I promise. And will you then tell me more about the ancient covenants?
During one of my vision quests, our ancestors showed me how one day the ancient covenants would be renewed through new agreements. Now, these new agreements may take a very different shape today than they did in the past. They may even become an Earth constitution or form part of the new economic and governance experiments you were telling me about.
Well, keep going. I love that. I can feel the energy of that. And this ring is getting really hot now.
But first, dear, there's something else I'd like you to understand about this new cycle of time that we are moving into right now. What's happening right now is not just about our planet alone. There are larger forces at work, universal forces of deep transformation as one cycle is completing and another begins. Our ancestors spoke of this shift as the time when the cosmic serpent starts shedding her old skin. They saw the skin of the cosmic serpent as the body of time for that cycle. Each time the cosmic serpent sheds her skin, she sheds a cycle of time and a new era begins. This process happens from deep inside the womb of our galaxy and perhaps even beyond. Our planet is part of this cyclical process, and she has her own natural cycles too. Sadly, the many changes we have forced on her now are destabilizing her own cycle of transformation.
Thank you, Grandma. This makes a lot of sense to me. You know, I was reading a book on mythology recently, and it actually said that serpents and snakes feature in many cultures as ancestral creator beings. And my dear friend Sophia, she also told me how the rainbow serpent is very much honored in her culture as a powerful creator ancestor. And she even said it often dwells in waterholes. Oh, I wish that our Nordic myths wouldn't portray the dragon and the serpent and the wolf as such violent and evil creatures.
You know, perhaps the original myths did not. Those interpretations may well have been part of the demonization of the pagan religions that took place afterwards. And perhaps, perhaps the deeper lesson of these myths was to become aware of those shadow behaviors in ourselves. Of course, the original myths are nothing like the modern film version that are prevalent today.
That's for sure. If the ancient gods and goddesses saw how they are portrayed in the movies, they wouldn't even recognize themselves.
Now, should we have some questions? A lot of you are nodding your heads vigorously, and I wonder if you have questions. We would love to hear from some of you in the remaining time. I see Rama and Alexander with us here. I'm so happy you've joined us. Would you like to share a few words first?
Well, thank you first for sharing the experience. We loved reading the second book so much, but actually seeing it come to life with the two of you in front of our eyes in, more than 3D was so wonderful. Our Christmas, what was it? Our winter solstice of 2021 was The Quest of Rose. And we had equal delight, joy in reading The Return of the Avatars. And I think, as you highlighted in your introduction, what was so important about it and the timeliness, the eerie timeliness of it, that you took us, you knew that in this time you had to take us into the shadows, into the ego, and how to get out of it. And that if we do allow ourselves to do that, there will be our wise guides, there will be our Verdandi who shows up and guides us with all that ancestral wisdom into the future. So it was even more this fusion of millennial wisdom and the call of the future and the science and technology that came together, but all of us had to go into our deep shadow and look there where Rose looked. And the bit of, we can't give it away for those who haven't read it, the tinge of romance and how romance too can have its shadow side. So the avatar is here, and thank you both so much.
It's brilliant,
Thank you so much.
And the avatar, I want to say, and to add to Rama, I have hardly come across a book where you can so beautifully participate in making, in the new story unfolding. And it really, Jean, I take one of your favorite terms, the lure of becoming.
Yes.
All its sensory expressions, including the romantic one, is really moving through this book. And it's almost eerie indeed. And I just want to say it once more, how this book is written into our time, for our time, of our time. I'm deeply grateful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both so much, and for all your support along the journey, and always being the first ones to read it and really dive into the journey, isn't it, Jean? I mean, that's for us.
Oh, goodness. They have helped us so much. Wherever we're turning the wrong corner, they come right back and tell us.
There were no wrong corners.
No wrong corners.
You are our spiritual and spirited editors, truly. With great wisdom.
Dennis. Yes, I'll add you here. There you
Yes,
are.
hi. Well, thank you so much, Jean and Anneloes, and also Ervin, for everything you continually do. What's so interesting is we've acknowledged the duality, the polarity for so long, and we know for the last 30,000 to 3,500 years, we've been extremely on one side of that duality, and acknowledging where we're at and how to get back to how we can be in the light is what this time is all about, because we know the duality is always going to exist because we're in our 3D containers. At the same time, we can still make the choice to have it best for everybody and for all human beings on this earth. And so I thank you for all the work that you're doing.
That's so well said. And that's
Thank you
it.
so much.
We learn to dance with the duality, but not to be the duality. And that is how we bring real change. And I love that you have the Northern Lights behind you. That is so appropriate. Because the whole story takes place there, right? So that is so great. Thank you so much, Dennis. And then
thank you.
I like to bring up our dear friend Terry. Yes, go for it.
Now, well, here's the wonderful thing about this, what I call the great wake up that's happening, that you're talking about. If the universe operates as one indivisible whole, well, then all the past and all the future can only exist in words. Only the eternal now is real. All the past, present, and future as one experience. And so that's what we're learning to mature in, is that experience of oneness. And so that's what I think the two of you are speaking to. Jean, I saw you when you were 20 years old. You came and spoke to the doctoral program at the University of Massachusetts, Humanistic Psychology Department. And you were just coming from Russia and working on Kirlian photography. Remember those days?
You help me remember them. They're vague, becoming in sharper with your words. Thank you.
But the main thing that I'm trying to reflect out into this conversation, Anneloes, is that we're discovering that oneness is a skill we can master. It's not something out there that we're going to go toward.
Exactly.
The sensation of oneness is a sensation we can know as a sensation because it's real. And I'm just going to leave you with one last thought. The sensation of being alive that we thought was our bodies being alive. Well, if the only thing that is real is the indivisible universe is one thing, then there are no separate parts, then that personal sensation of being alive is really the sensation of oneness. And all we have to do is rename it.
That's it. And live it and apply it.
Clearly, Terry, you are a very close companion to oneness.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you.
Bishop Heather.
There you are. Yes, Bishop Heather. Yeah. I'm so glad you could be with us.
Hello, everyone. Hi. Hello, friends and new friends. Congratulations. I just want to start with bravo. Congratulations. Standing ovation. Yahoo. When you said you were going to do a trilogy, I know for many of us on this call who have written one book, any book, trilogy. I love the first one. And she keeps saying, oh, this is better than the first one. It's like, no, but the first one was awesome. So the whole process is extraordinary. And Dennis, I'm actually from, my family is Icelandic, from Akureyri. So I'm used to the Northern Lights. So it's fun also for me personally and during this process to be able to connect to the Icelandic stories. So thank you. Thank you from we Icelanders who actually are from there to have it brought forth. Jean, something you've mentioned, and I heard this before this morning, hearing you both deliver it is so extraordinary, to read it and to know your voices, but really, yes, there is a play, yes, there is a movie. It's really magnificent. So as we look at the cosmos and we look at life-changing, I want to say on this plane, in this dimension, you guys are awesome, and congratulations.
Thank you so much, Heather, and for all your support as well. Yes.
Greetings to everyone. I just want to commend you both today for your fantastic endeavor to write a second book. I'm struggling just trying to write one. Also, I have finished reading Ervin Laszlo's The Upshift, which seems to be quite a good companion piece with your work.
Indeed, it is. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And my concern, I guess, because of what's all going on right now on our planet, is getting the coherence. It sounds like you're going to be doing a movie. I hope that works. My concern is the speed of which this collectively gets embedded in people's mindsets, I guess, and how you think we can go about that more. I mean, I guess I'm just hoping for an evolution overnight, but.
Well, you know, Joni, I think you're absolutely right, but it's not up to us, it's up to all of us. This
Right.
is the collective we that is rising up to a whole new sense that these are the times and we are the people, and the gold statement, if not now, when, if not you, who, us.
Right.
The great usness has risen up to say the great no to the old modalities of being and killing and self and other destruction. Part of the issue is the lure of what does it look like? What is its promise? It's there, it's already there in the future in some sense. Not future in a science fiction way, but future in the cosmological way. Time, past, present, future, simultaneous. I think that if many of us get together, and I think this is something that we are starting to do, well, with ourselves, but you can do it in your own community, to begin to not only perceive, to tap into the deep imaginal spaces of our holy high heart and our deep, deep mindfulness, and find out what does the engineering, the architecting, the co-creation of this world that works for us, for everybody, and most of all for our beloved planet. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it taste like? But begin the great imaginal journeys, co-creative imaginal journeys that truly can take us to this place that is yearning to enter into time. I start with you, Joan. What does it look like? What does it feel like? Just.
Well, I see samples of it happening, even in the small community where I live, where I was participated in getting people to declare a climate change emergency, and working with the Sustainability Commission, and also people trying to unite in our polarity in ways of honoring those who are trying to serve in our city council, et cetera. But I guess I'm also thinking about the abolitionist movement and
Yes.
the civil rights movement, that we need to get this mindset movement going, similar to that. So I'm thinking about that. I'm hoping through all of you here on this call that we can kind of somehow connect in a real way to try and push that forward.
The future human collective.
Right, exactly.
To tap into the deep resources of the spiritual images that are trying to emerge in our time, of a world that is the lure of our becoming.
Mm-hmm.
And also for children. Children are so bright, they are so wise, just like Anneloes' brilliant little son, you know.
Manu, yeah.
But what does he think? And I asked Anneloes, what is your son, your young son, you have two sons, but the younger son, what is he beginning to see, to create, to emerge, to imagine?
Well, for him, of course, the world is much simpler, and living in Mauritius, he's very much sheltered from the war that's happening in Europe right now, other than what he, of course, sees. But what I see he does naturally is he has a small circle of friends. And it's with his friends. They're very interactive. They're chatting with each other every day, and they see each other a lot as well. And they are creating, they are gaming together, they're creating new codes, and it's like they're creating a new mini world. Yeah, where they are applying and also, you know, testing many of their own rising assumptions and beliefs. And so I think that what I see for my children, and especially the little one, is that it does start small, and it does start with simple things. Yeah. And it's like the way that they live is they like to always appreciate. So every time when I make a meal, he would say, "Thank you so much, Mama, for making me such a nice meal." All these little things. So sometimes when there are such major changes happening, we want to have also a major revolt, and we want to have major actions. But the more beautiful world starts small. It starts small with all of us in the little actions that we take every day, the smiles that we give, the way that we show up, and the way that we listen. It really goes to the heart first. Yes.
And my my mental conditioning says, I don't belong here. There's nothing here for me, right? And then I come back to the seeds of truth, which is my elderly parents are here. And I'm going there and contributing and participating in sharing my awakening process with them. What better, greater gift is there than that? This pebble in the pond rippling out in my own hometown where I arrived on the planet. So I felt the resistance to that. And I just love, Anneloes, when you said a more beautiful world starts small. Oh, we can all come back to that remembering. Because especially in this, you know, internet like world of connectivity, we're tuned into thinking bigger, right? We start where we are. And so the moment I said there's no yoga in this town, my limited perception, right? My limited perspective, and opening the aperture of my lens of seeing just what's here with curiosity. A yoga opened up like 10 miles away. There's classes everywhere in Nehalem. I met an acupuncturist in Wheeler, Oregon. I don't know if any of you know Wheeler. It's like a drive-through town. The most phenomenal acupuncturist is here. And so my mind has been opening to where are my feet? Where do I begin? I start right here where I am. And the limitless possibility that's available right here in this moment, but I'm missing it because my attention, you know, energy flows where attention goes. My energy and my attention are out bigger. Easy to do, right? We're bombarded with all this information coming right back here. What's here and now? And like that pebble in the pond rippling out. Like I go to my folks and I serve them 90 and 86, they're homebound. And I'm like, there's got to be more than this. No, this is it. And it's extravagant. And who knows from there, right? What will happen. So that's where I'm at, just coming back to love. Wonderful. Love this image of the high heart. Coming back to love.
It has been such
Hi, everybody.
For me personally. So Kurt, I want to thank you first of all, and love to hear from you.
That's normal. That's natural, should I say. It's an opportunity for me to say congratulations, a big bravo, because it's a lot of work, not just writing or inspiring it, but making sure that it comes in the form you wish at the end of the day. Great team. But this time is a special time. Any time is special, but it is special because we are alive right now and living it with a lot of inspiration that there is in this book would certainly help. It certainly will help in these dire times where sometimes we could despair of humanity. However, what you propose in the book help us to hope, help us to put in practice what could change it all. It's a game changer. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kurt. Thank you. And Kathleen?
Thank you so much.
I think what has been moving in me as people have been speaking is this longing that we have for unity. I'm beginning to see the most incredible signs of it and learning how to look. And one that many of you have heard on the news, a number of young women, I believe it was in Poland, decided to leave their baby strollers in the train station. So the arriving refugee people from Ukraine would have a place to put their babies as they moved on to get help. It's such a small act, but it's so tender and it's so wise. And I think those are the places where we see what is changing.
In the train stations. That's so gorgeous.
And coupled with that is this whole idea of a war and the anger that people feel and the anger that I felt. And then immediately I had to move to what I learned from the first book about the higher heart. You know, if we return hatred for hatred, we become like those that are our enemies. And so I notice people when we gather to pray or reflect are praying for the Russian soldiers, saying they don't want to do this either. Pray they will have the courage to say, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. And I find those are transformational moments that are happening. And it suggests to me that we are so not alone in this, that there are forces moving through the universe that are already giving birth to the newness that we long for.
Beautiful, thank you. Elizabeth, would you like to give us some of your perceptions? You're always so wise about these things.
Thank you, Jean and Anneloes. I'm almost overcome by that statement about the baby buggies at the train station.
Yes.
That's overwhelmingly wonderful and so human and so kind. What I wanted to say about this, the books that both of you have written, and the essence of what I see as your great gift to humanity, Jean, is not only anchoring ideas and concepts and words and putting them out there, you capture them before they happen. You've been in the future, talking about the possibilities and making them real so that ordinary people who have those same seeds of possibility hear them and make them happen. And in your wake have come all these various creations from so many people, 153 people on this call, and all of them have created things and maybe inspired, probably inspired by your words. So thank you very much. So, and I want to take it another step, if I may. It is very powerful. The books have been very powerful and are making a difference, as we can hear from everybody who has dared to speak on this call. When's the game coming out? Because that game will make a huge difference. We're talking about anchoring the unseen and the as yet unrealized and putting it in form. A game in this time will be.
A game in this time.
I'm ready for it.
Anneloes, why don't you describe the game that we're hoping to put out someday?
That you will put out, and we'll all go and get it.
And it's actually her son who you met, who's really helped develop the game. Anneloes.
Yeah, it started as the Cosmic Compass game, and that is really as a future humans quest. So that's the future humans game. And that's really about understanding then how to with the avatar interface that is part of the book, through which you learn to really develop your future human powers or in your avatar consciousness, to how to then apply that to the real world challenges that are today. And one of the first features of the game is actually that it helps you now to become aware of information within your environment that many people are not sensing or not in touch with. And that you then learn to really partner, not just the cosmos like we did in book 1, but you really learn to partner now also the earth herself. And in the earth herself is also the indigenous knowledge and wisdom, the ancestral knowledge and wisdom, like Rama also explained earlier, as well as, of course, from the future generations. So the future humans game is really the game now for being able to unite our powers as a collective, then develop them through the wisdom of the higher heart, with the understanding of the higher mind, the cosmic mind, and then involve in that process also the deeper archetypes. And that is what we've seen now with what's going on in the world crisis that we're in right now, and especially how that's focused on the war in Eastern Europe, is that there are some really deep archetypal patterns that are starting to rise up, and they always come just before the emergence and the birth of the new. And so instead of seeing that as a setback or feeling terrorized by these forces, and through this game, then what we get to do is to get really creative of that. And one of them, like Olaf, my son, when I was playing the game with him, and we did that in an imaginal way, he came up with himself a set. There's a giant in there, and then the giant of domination in that, in one way, trapped a lot of creativity of humans. I said, Olaf, or Manu in this case, what happens when we have to awaken, we have to reset that giant? Because in order to reset the giants, in order to reset the patterns, there's a very small window that the giant itself has to be awake. But when this giant awakens, and this is when what Olaf or Manu was saying then is, but mommy, when he awakens, he becomes more grumpy because he now realizes what he's doing and that he has to change and he doesn't like it. So he may become more violent. So I was asking Manu in the role of Olaf, what do we need to do then? Well, then we have to find the cosmic reset button. And that's really the heart of the giant that's been frozen through time. and that's really important. And interestingly, Manu himself, as he started to work with me on this game, he started to play his own games differently with his friends. And there's a section in the book where he made this gun of Lego little blocks, and he created these little bullets which he called healing bullets. So he says, Mama, I do like my Lego gun because I made it myself, but now when I shoot it, there's a little bullet, and wherever it lands, it brings healing, and love and awareness, and everybody around who is touched by that sphere of that bullet is further awakened. So in his own creative mind, it started to work. And I think that was just so powerful. And so Jean and I have started conversations with people who are in the field of game development. It's going to require major resources. So that is for us the big step next. We don't have the financial resources ourselves in order to truly bring this into a world game, but we're definitely open to that. And we really believe that that can make a huge difference. What do you say, Jean?
Thank you so much. I have a big question for everybody. In your experiencing this presentation, these ideas, this lure of becoming that we've been presenting today, what is being sparked in you to do, to create, to bring into this world?
We're planning right now for the March 25th global gathering of youth around the world for Fridays for Future. And I was just going to share that At our planning meeting this last Saturday night, I had bought copies of the first book in the trilogy and passed them out to all of the youth. And what's been really exciting about working with youth is that we at our age, which it looks like most of us are in this group, I'm in my 70s, that we can be a real inspiration to these young people. And I'll just end by saying that we had collectively written an opinion piece that will go in our major newspaper here in Salt Lake City. We all worked on it together, and right before I was supposed to send it in, just out of the blue, the title came to me of "All We Are Saying Is Give Us a Chance." And that came from, if many of you may know, that was the anthem song from John Lennon for the Vietnam War. All we are saying is give peace a chance. So right now, the youth are saying, all we are saying is give us a chance. And the opinion piece that we wrote are the educational changes that we would like to see through, or the youth would really like to see through the state. And they've been involved in permaculture and other things. And I'll be quiet now, but thank you. The young people who have started reading your book have been just blown away by it. I mean, it's just such a different view for them. And so I'm looking forward to going through it and exploring that we really do have possibilities to envision a very different kind of future.
Please check your email, because I had sent you a few weeks ago several full scholarships for these youth for our Catalyst course, so that they can participate at no cost. And I sent you also some PDF versions of the book that you can circulate with them so they can read. So we really, really want to support youth. So we want this to be really accessible to them so that they can join our community. So check the email.
I see my working partner of 40 years is here, and I would like her, just her reflections. Peggy Rubin, where are you? She also suffers from galloping modesty. So
Here, thank you, Jean, and thank you, Anneloes, for this wonderful. I want to introduce you to my oldest friend who's here from Sacramento to visit. This is Jody George, and we are so pleased, both of us, are weeping with delight and joy and enchantment at what you two have created so amazingly together. This beautiful web pattern that you are disseminating to bring about a new realization and a new hope, and absolutely a new actualization. So thank you both enormously.
thank you, Peggy.
Thank you so much. I would really like to, in the last minutes, to bring up Dagmar, if she can, because she's been working with the Future Humans community students. Every week they've been gathering. And I'd love to hear from Dagmar. There you are, how that's been, because you've really been going through the whole process. And maybe Christy, is Christy there as well? Would she like to come as well?
It's been a beautiful, beautiful time. And as we were gathering right after the first sessions in August last year, we felt that we needed each other's support and we needed each other's stories to learn and be supported and be uplifted by one another. So we founded this community, and we were not a great many people, but a very, very stable group. So we gathered every week for one and a half hours, and we got to read the first book, Quest of Rose, and we were to share what everyone has felt with the content in his or her daily surroundings, daily activities. And it was so uplifting just to hear what everybody else was experiencing. And a lot of my own personal growth has been initiated by just being with the others. So we were supporting each other and just bringing us more into the realm of a future human. And I'm extremely grateful to Christy as well. It wouldn't be possible without any one of you. And Christy has become a dear, dear friend, even though we have this great distance between us, like the great ocean. We are connected in this quantum realm and in this future human community. And I would not ever miss one of those weekly meetings, if at all possible. And thank you so much, Christy. I want to say something.
Thank you so much. And I'd love to hear from Christy as well, but I also want to acknowledge Dagmar. Dagmar has been translating the Quest of Rose into German, which has been a huge, huge job. Because she's actually really found the German equivalent for the terms and terminology. So Dagmar, our deep respect and gratitude for that as well. And yes, everything you said. And Christy, I love to hear from you. You've always asked the most incredible questions that get all of us to think deeper. So please.
Maybe too many questions sometimes. I think I second what Dagmar said about the group and about the people who come every week. And really what I have found so profound in the group is how much deeper I can go into the work listening to everyone else talk about their process in the work. So when we get together every week and we talk about what's gone on and how we've applied the first book and looking forward now to applying the second book, how much that impacts my own growth and development that really wouldn't happen if I were just in it by myself. So I'm deeply grateful for our Monday group and for the work that you guys have brought forward, because it's just been life altering, and the connections that I have with these people, like Dagmar mentioned. I don't know what, I can't imagine a year ago that I didn't have these connections in my life. So thank you so much for bringing so much growth and so much connection and so much beauty to my life that I didn't have a year ago.
Lovely, Christy. Thank you.
Thank you both so much.
Hello, Jean. Hello, Anneloes. Thank you for your marvelous work. I feel that you have taken in so much of what is being accomplished today and made sense of it and done it in a way that has been inspiring. And I feel that the rising of this new consciousness, this sense of oneness, is actually happening, and that many, many, many of us were called and have been called to this work decades ago and in the more recent decades, and that finding now the way where our works communicate and connect with each other, and how to release that energy in a way that brings peace feels like the paramount gesture that we need to make today. And I thank you for your coalescing of this group. And please let me know if there is any way that I can serve in it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I also share with everyone is that the cosmic architect tools that you'll find in the book, they live really truly deep within us. And so we shared a little bit already about that ring of unity. And that ring of unity, it's like a sacred ring within the architecture of your own heart that you can call upon. And I find myself often when I go through the day, and if there are different challenges that are coming up, I call upon these different architect tools. There's a cosmic mirror, there's a singing chalice, there is the cosmic navel cord, which helps us to connect back in with Mother Cosmos, Mother Universe, and Mother Earth. And work with these tools. We really love to hear from all of you, your experience. I know, Jean, you wanting to say something, please.
No, there was some point we were going to talk about that for some reason, out of modesty, you have not spoken of, and that is how you bear an ancestral connection to all of these ideas and processes and potencies and the architectural tools. Do you want to say something about your ancestral connection? Because it's very unique.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's ancestral connections from the Merovingian traditions. And these are the traditions of the Grails and the Templars and the Templar Knights as well. where there's a long tradition of really practicing the tools of the higher heart. And it's deep within my ancestors as well as in the Nordic connections. I have both of those connections through my mother's line. It's the Merovingian, and my father's line is more the Viking and the Nordic. But I found that indeed, as we were working on this book, and you always, Jean, like to call upon the helpers. The ancestors really showed up, and they really been guiding this process. So these are ancient tools that I believe they come again and again when they're needed for humanity and through major changes, so that we find our way into the birth canal, really, because when we're entering that birth canal, it does get narrow. And right now we are in a narrowing time, and the time to waste, the time to ignore our planet is over, and the time to play these old games of disunity and division, it's over. So there are certain things for which the time is over, and that's what in Return of the Avatars, Rose comes to say, this pattern stops now. And so we are now both this stops now to the patterns that are dysfunctional for all, where there is no more time for that. And we are the yes, this begins now for this future that is alive in us.
So you see, Anneloes bears the ancestral gnosis, the deep knowings of thousands of years that is part of her line. And she asked me, what about your line, Jean? I said, well, my ancestors first crossed America in a covered wagon. If you could have seen them, you would have known why the wagon was covered.
But Jean, you're being modest here, because your ancestors were part of the ones who started whole nations, right? And states.
Oh, I don't know.
The constitutional codes are in you too.
But it's so wonderful that so many different people are here on this call from literally all over the world with such different genetics, ancestral forms, poetry, spirit, imagination. The world has been created from you, through you, beyond you, and in your future, which has already begun. And so I love the poem that really speaks to all of this, which says, the human heart can go to the lengths of God. Dark and cold we may be, but this is no winter now. The frozen misery of centuries cracks, breaks, begins to move. The thunder is the thunder of the flood, the flow, the upstart spring. Thank God, our time is now, when wrong comes up to meet us everywhere, never to leave us till we take the longest stride of soul folk ever took. Affairs are now soul-sized. The enterprise is exploration into God. What are we making for? It takes so many thousand years to wake. But shall we wake? For pity's sake, shall we?
That's the perfect completion. Thank you so much. So with that, we've completed this program. We thank you so much for being with us. We're really looking forward to being with you all again. Let's all unmute. So many blessings, much love. Let's send each other a big hug.
All of you.
Thank you very much.
Bless you.
Blessings.
Blessings.
Blessings. Blessings. Gratitude and thank you.